everybody, and welcome to the podcast pre-show. So happy to have you here as we're about to start our next episode of Outlander Cast, a podcast about Outlander. But of course, right now we're taking time to hang out with men in kilts.
Yes, we're having fun. We're talking to men in kilts. We're having a good time, man. And not a bad episode, too. Some song and dance, a little bit of fun, a little bit of a hangover after all the good times shared between Sam and Graham. I'm in, man. I'm in.
Agreed. So as always, we would love for you to chime on in. We go live. Here's this video aspect for the community. We are here to be able to see your comments, to see who you are, where you're tuning in from. So let us know that in the comments right now. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know if you're on hashtag Team Graham or hashtag Team Sam, because that needs to be a thing.
Always
that needs to be a thing from here on out for Men in Kilts. Hashtag Team Graham or hashtag Team Sam. And then lastly, did you prefer the music or the dance in this episode?
Good question.
You can make it even fun and throw emojis for the music or the dance.
Oh,
so where you're from, Team Graham or Team Sam. And if you liked the dancing or the music better. And of course, we're going to remind you to share this podcast. You can hit that little arrow button below, and you can share this into your wall, on your stories, and your Facebook Messenger. If you're on Instagram, you can screenshot and tag us.
And when you do share it, make sure you use the little phrase "Dinafash."
Yes, when you come back here
Put
to
it in the comments. Put it in the comments. Let us know. And Instagram has now joined us. Thank you very much, everybody that's joining us at this very special time. This is our pre-show to the podcast that we're putting together for you guys for Men in Kilts, episode 3, Song and Dance.
So once again, let us know where you're tuning in from, if you're Team Sam or Team Graham, and if you preferred the music or the dancing in this episode. Let us know that in the comments. Just double check that, as that just changed a little bit of the layout.
We're good. We're good. It's just down here.
Oh, okay, perfect. And if you do share this episode, whether a screenshot and put in your stories, or you can hit that share button if you're on Facebook, write the word Dinafash right here in our comments so we can give you a little shout out. So we've got people tuning in from Tennessee. We have Lalita from Argentina. Hi, Teresa. Teresa, we are doing a live podcast. Suzanne from Texas. Ellen, hello. Ellen Hainwright, nice to see you. Leanna from Illinois. We've got Angela, our friend Angela from New Jersey. Great to see you here. Yay, awesome. Got a lot of Team Sam. Oh, Brittany's tuning in with the dancing Team Graham for this episode if she had to choose.
That's my girl,
there
Brittany.
You go.
All right, I'll take it.
Thank you for sharing, Angela. Really appreciate it. All right. Here we go.
All right, you ready to make a podcast?
Jump into this podcast. So just so you know, if you've never tuned into our live podcast, we have to be awkwardly quiet for about 10 seconds. This is why it's good for you to do your little where you're from, Team Sam or Team Graham, and if you liked the dancing or the music better in Men in Kilts this week.
So 10 seconds for...
Room tone.
That's my girl. Here we go. Let's do it.
Hair of the dog.
Here's to Scotland.
To the music. Dancing. With everyone.
From Providence, Rhode Island, welcome to Outlander Cast. It's a podcast dedicated to the show Outlander and Men in Kilts on Stars.
Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Mary Larson.
My name's Blake. You wouldn't catch me dead doing those dances. Wouldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Especially with all them people. I mean, I could do like the sword dancing if I'm doing it by myself or with like you. But like dancing with all them people.
Except that's pretty
at the
much what we
Kaylee?
did when we used to do swing dancing lessons. is
Yeah,
you
and
would
it was
have to dance
miserable.
with everybody. I know.
It was miserable.
Sam would have to trick you, probably like how he tricked Graham into having this whole big.
Yes, kind of like how
dance
you
going
tricked
on.
me.
Yes,
There
lots
is-
of trickery going
There's
on.
no chance I'd be dancing with other people like that. Dancing for me might be the most awkward existence on this planet. It's the worst thing.
And yet I have so much of it videotaped of you that I just
know.
love it.
Oh,
And now,
my
of course,
goodness.
in our dull moments, we can turn on Men in Kilts and rewatch Sam and Graham having a great time being awkward dances.
So much
dancers,
great
don't
awkwardness
worry.
happening.
Now, before we get into this episode, we're going to talk all things Men in Kilts music and dancing. We wanted to remind you that you can actually subscribe to our podcast.
Yes.
If you're watching us live right now, this is actually an audio-based podcast that you can find in Stitcher and Apple Podcasts and whatever podcast app you like. Just search the words Outlander Cast. You can also find Blake and myself on all social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. All you need to do is search Mary and Blake. We want to thank our friends. If you are a Nerd Clan member, right? Proudly Nerd Clan down in the comments below. These are the people who support us. We hopefully bring you some joy, some levity, especially in times like this with COVID. So feel free to check out jointhenerdclan.com if you want to check out all the official extras that we have, benefits like bonus episodes, premium podcasts like Keep Calm and Crown On, and of course, our book clubs. For now, let's get into the show. All right, Blake, break down the details.
Well, there isn't much detail to break down. I know this is like just part of our thing that we do, but the only real detail to break down is the fact that it is entitled Song and Dance, this episode, and they are focusing on the great history of song and dance in Scotland. And again, as we talked in our pre-show before we started recording this podcast live with all the other people that are watching us in the live, what a good episode.
Oh,
A good
really
episode to just keep going and keep the train moving. I think there are some issues with it, but I'm happy to go with it, and I really enjoy learning about the bagpipes and the dancing and
Yes.
how that all has evolved in Scotland and how it represents Scotland's history in many different facets. So, Song and Dance is the title.
Love.
That is that. Marvin, your kilt rating for this episode?
And for our friends joining in live, we would love for you to put your kilt rating on a scale of 1 to 5 kilts, with 1 being the worst and 5 being a fantastic episode of television, the best.
You are the worst.
I give this episode a 4.9.
Okay.
A 4.9. I loved this episode. I'll mention in a moment. The one bad thing that kind of made me go, "Urgh." I mean, last episode was a 5+. Last episode...
Sure.
Just it was amazing, and I had so much fun. I mean, you just can't beat it. You're hanging out with Sam and Graham, learning about Scotland, seeing all the merriment. So solid 4.9. How about you?
I'm giving this one a 4.7. I enjoyed this episode quite a bit. It was not last episode, and I think that's fine. I think the reason why I struggled is because I feel like Sam struggled to engage with the music aspect of the show. My thought is that I think, enjoyed the dancing far more, despite his
Okay.
protests, than the music aspect of it. And there was also this planned funniness about the show that
Yeah.
it succumbed to in the first episode. But I think I'll get into that in my GBG. Marvin, your GBG for this episode. You're good, you're bad, and you're great.
Yeah, we do this for every episode of our podcasts, our good, our bads, and our greats.
Oh, my camera's way off. Can you put me down a little bit?
Sure, there you go.
There we go.
There you are.
More better.
I look a wee bit fuzzy, but maybe it's just because of my glasses.
No, it's not
So-
because of your glass. I'm going to take care of it right now.
So, my good for this episode was that I just love bagpipes. I mean, I love music. I'm a musician. I play the saxophone. My dad wished that I played the bagpipes. It would have made all of his Scottish heritage dreams
We had
come
bagpipes
true.
at our wedding.
We did. So just to like continue to have the bagpipes a little bit more history on it. I mean, I could honestly have a whole episode on bagpipes. I know
Absolutely.
not everybody could.
I could.
But
Totally.
hey,
Yeah.
maybe we'll make our own one day.
In.
Maybe that's what we should do when Men in Kilts is done in Outlanders and it's Droughtlander again.
Yep.
We can maybe interview someone about how bagpipes are made. My bad was the scripted feeling came back.
Yeah.
In episode 1, there was a bit of a scripted feeling, particularly when they were rolling around in the barley or when they were cutting the Pete, and they were like, "Oh, should we just stop?" Okay,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
won't know. Like, it was just obviously scripted for funniness sake, which is fine. But I actually had a friend reach out to me this week who's watched Outlander, who has been thinking about, "Oh yeah, we still have our Star subscription. Maybe we should check it out." And she said, "But is it scripted?" And I said, "Not all of it, but there are a few moments where you're like, ah, man." And, particularly when they had that banter where Sam was leading the marching band and then they
Yes.
had to go and the band like awkwardly looked at them and then turned around. That felt awkwardly scripted. That just
Yeah.
didn't flow for me. So that was my bad. But mind you, I still gave this episode a 4.9.
Yes.
I love this episode.
You lurved it.
Lurved it. And then my great is I want to be dancing too. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted to be there. I wanted to be the lady in the green dress.
Oh,
I'm
sure.
pretty sure we all did, including you, Blake.
Swishing and sashaying only to just hold hands with Graham.
Well, that's what I mean. I just want to be in between Graham and Sam, but also being coordinated
Yes.
enough that you can do all these dance
And
moves.
look good while doing it.
Yes, that
Yes.
green dress. Dang.
That green dress flowed
Agreed.
in the wind.
Agreed. So how about you? What is your good, your bad, and your great for this episode?
My good is Graham's awkward hug with his like distant cousin.
With Ian the bagpiper?
Yeah, and it's like a family reunion, and it's just so funny. I don't know if this was filmed during like the COVID aspect
I
of
don't
it.
think so.
I don't know, because some of it has been filmed during the COVID.
Really?
Oh yeah, like when they did the cooking outside with the guy in the first episode,
Yeah?
that was a reshoot. They came back and they filmed it in August.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, some of this stuff was filmed recently.
This makes a bit more sense.
So it's almost like they don't know if to embrace. Even like the handshaking is very awkward in this episode.
Huh.
So again, I don't know if that particular incident was filmed during the COVID aspect of it all. As a matter of fact, you can also see Sam's hair change too.
Okay.
From not necessarily scene to scene, but just like the volume of it. Some of it's like down, some of it's up, and I don't know. I feel like that hairstyle only changes over a big period of time, not day to day.
Yeah,
Anyway.
well, and of course, for those of you who don't know, like television, particularly in this sense, it's not filmed continuous. It's not
Right.
filmed like in sequence that we see on the show. And if you do read the book Clanlands, which
Yes.
Blake and I are covering in our podcast, you really see that aspect where they make it
Absolutely.
look like it's all done in one day or so for
But
the
it ain't.
television. But like you said, it is just these big puzzle pieces where they probably did have to come back and
Yep.
film in different times. So now that I know that some bits were filmed during COVID, whereas the majority was not, now we're going to have eagle eyes.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
be like, obviously the dancing wasn't.
Right, no, that
You
was
know?
definitely
With the band and
Pre-COVID,
everything
yeah.
like that. So, okay, I'm going to keep my eye on this now. Interesting.
and so I don't know. It's a very awkward. Like Graham puts his hand on his shoulder and like is like, "Do I hug you? Do I not hug you? You're my family, but you're not my family." Like it
was just
it's
a
a
fun
sweet
show.
moment.
Yes.
I love the moment.
But you didn't know if it was the COVID of it all where he
Right.
was like, "Oh, I just touched you.
Yes. Oh, am I supposed to do
Where's
that?
the Purell?"
Yeah. Where's the bleach?
So, but that was your good, was just that moment that
Yeah.
was fun. I mean,
Yeah.
welcome to being Scottish.
Right, exactly.
Anytime I tell people, like, "Oh, yeah, I'm Scottish," they're like, "No way, me too. Let's figure out if we're related." And I'm like, "Well, I literally have a book with my entire family tree.
Right.
So let's go.
Let's do this. The bad
go.
for me, like you, Mary, was the planned funniness. It's
Mm.
okay to write comedy if you're a good comedy writer. When you write bad comedy, it sticks out like a sore thumb. And I actually liked the funniness of Sam acting like a child with the thing. I thought that was
Yeah, the
funny.
marching was great.
But then the whole, okay, I'm gonna walk off and do the thing, and then when Sam has to confront them later on, and be like, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that." Like, come on, no, you didn't. You intentionally were acting like a dink. Don't be disingenuous.
Dink, D-I-N-K, just for those of you who may wonder. He's not saying anything terrible. This is a Bostonian term, meaning like a fool. D-I-N-K.
It's very, very true. Very true. Yeah. So you're being very intentional. Don't play it off like you were just acting like an idiot. And then you can't have it both ways. You can't have it look spontaneous, but then intentional at the same time. None of it was spontaneous, and none of it was intentional. All of it was intentional. So that was my bad. And my great are the little bits that we're seeing now that we have read the book.
I know you're
and we're
say?
seeing some aspects from the book that are
Yes.
coming into the show that in the show they're played off like, hey, it's normal. But in the book, we know way better because they
Yes.
went into it. Point being, the rock that Graham sits on when Gillibree shows up. And it's a totally fake rock. We know that because that's what's said in the book. And the way that Graham sits on it, it like moves
Yes.
like a back and forth, like it's empty and hollow. Because it is.
Like literally he's sitting there saying, oh, I'm eating Sam's porridge, which we know wasn't true
'Cause he
because in the
hates it.
book
He-
he says he doesn't want to eat it. It makes it look like they came out of the tent, but really
Right.
they didn't sleep in the tent.
No, they were sleeping at a hotel the other day, like that night, and they just showed up with the van.
And then he stands up because we're just coming over and there's no rock in the first shot.
Right.
And then suddenly Graham is sitting on a massive fake rock.
I don't know. It just materializes
And
like it's in the Avengers.
It's the magic of television. So if you're not reading the book, you're not going to be noticing these things. Read the book.
Right.
But you're right. Now we're getting to this point where we're like, oh, we get these little behind the scenes things.
Right.
And it's really fun. And as I said earlier, we're realizing because of the book, these puzzle piecings where things were done in different orders,
right.
which just naturally has to happen with film.
Absolutely. And the other fun part of it too is that we just finished, if you are keeping up with the podcast, chapter 11 of Clanlands called Rocking the Boat. And wouldn't you know, the title of this episode opens up with Sam and Graham in a boat and Sam rocking the boat. So it was just one of those things where I really enjoyed seeing these aspects in the show that we are going through in the book now. And
Yeah.
it feels more, the book feels more like a companion to the show and
Yes.
vice versa now.
Yes.
So that was my great.
Love it.
So what else stands out to you, Mary, in this episode of Men in Kilts?
Well, I just first need to restate my love for the bromance between Sam and Graham.
Sure.
Not only their bromance and their just love for each other, but the natural funny banter that they have, the natural just back and forth.
Yeah,
It's
being
better
in
than
the- being in
anything.
the van.
Yes,
Yeah.
just being in the van. Like it's better than anything that could be scripted. Obviously they might have some talking points here or there, but it's just, I just want to be a fly on the van forever. I want Men in Kilts season 2 like signed and delivered and set up so I can just spend more times because these episodes are so short and I've said it before, it's like just a little dessert, just a little
Right.
morsel, to satiate you, to make you have some fun. But to start off with them singing the Skyboat song.
Oh, perfection.
I
And the way
mean-
that Sam was doing it too, just like busting balls a little bit and Graham be like, stop it. Don't do it.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. And just every Outlander fan, like, did anyone else start singing along? Because I did.
Of course.
Right?
Of
Like you're like
course.
humming along as well. And you
It's one of those things you can't help. Can't help it. As soon as you hear it, you got to do it.
Yep.
Have to. If you don't do it, you're a dork.
What was funny is we watched this episode with our kids. And right away, so Sam and Graham, they're on that little rowboat. And our son goes, oh, that's Loch Ness.
Right. Isn't that crazy?
That's where Nessie lives.
Yeah.
He could tell by the castle, one of our dear friends and Outlander cast staff members, and she gave our kids a book about Loch Ness. And what do you know? That kid studied that like ruined castle. That he just needed to see that.
Word for word, picture by picture. It's great.
Agreed.
I will say though, just for the sake of posterity, the stuff in the van, you can tell is not scripted. It's just them two riffing on each other, whether it is them singing the Flintstones song or whatever.
cute.
I really appreciate the show for those moments and the moments of like when they're dancing and they're doing the sword dancing.
They're terrible
And
at
they're
it.
awful.
Oh,
and
but giving great effort.
Poor Graham. Just doing his best to just keep up. And
Just saying, I'm dead. I'm dead.
I'm dead. Yeah,
Because
and
he kept kicking the sword.
and you're dead. You're dead. You're wounded. And he genuinely gets embarrassed because he's so excited Sam sucks too that he realizes, oh, I probably shouldn't be saying this stuff.
Yeah.
And I really empathized. I absolutely empathized with Graham in this moment because if I was expected to do a dance like this, just off the cuff, in this like half tuxedo, half kilt thing
Yeah.
with these shoes that aren't broken in, they ain't their shoes. it would be misery.
You know, ain't their shoes.
It ain't their shoes. And you have this woman who's a professional making you look like an absolute toolbox.
She was like, "This is basic. This will be easy."
Yeah, these are
No.
for the 5-year-olds. Get
got
out of
this.
here.
Oh my god,
These
it
are for the
was so cute,
5-year-olds.
so cute. How did you like seeing Gillibri again?
Gillibri is really cool. Just knowing that he was, what was his name? It was Gwilyn the Bard in season 1.
Yeah.
It's really cool just to see that guy back and hear him talking about. I remember this point in the book too, learning more about the Gaelic and how that is more present in is still big and vibrant in the Highlands, how that is permeating through the Highlands and becoming bigger with more funding and everything. And I think an issue that I take with this episode is it suffered from the same thing that the first episode suffered from, which is we're just moving so quickly.
Yes, you want it to be an hour. You want to spend more time.
I don't know if I need to be an hour. I think I just need less things to happen. See what I'm saying? Like, I think the half hour is a good amount of time.
Okay.
I think the half hour is a good time.
But you're saying it should have just been just music and delve a bit more into the Gaelic and the singing or the bagpipes and how they were made or whatever, all that kind of stuff. I can appreciate that.
And then like how the guy just is like, yeah, I got a song for every occasion. Just starts belting out this song. And there was also this funny moment that you could tell was edited in that, Gillibrand's just singing, and then it cuts to these big panoramic views of Scotland and everything, and you hear Sam and Graham's voice at the same time. So implicit in that is that they start singing at the same time. The problem, though, is that when they cut back, you can tell that Sam is trying to like kind of sing, but he's totally screwing
They
it
like
up.
needed to listen to that track 4 times,
Yeah.
and then they added it in post.
Absolutely, that's what happened.
I love it.
It's like, you know that feeling that when you're singing a song and you think you know that song really well and you got all the words and
Yep.
all of a sudden the words just stop and you're like, that's exactly what was happening with Sam at that moment. I laughed out loud at that. I thought that was hysterical.
Oh my goodness gracious! And of course, neither guy can sing nor can they dance.
No,
So.
they cannot sing or dance.
It's all good.
And Graham even says this, like, I'm absolute ball out, completely awful. He is my spirit animal.
I love him.
Graham is the best.
We of course go to I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Dune
Castle.
Dune Castle, which is the location that they filmed for Castle Leoch, of
Yes.
course. And this is where we get to meet Ian McGilvery, who is this bagpiper from
And also the youngest laird in Scotland.
like awesome.
He looks like he's 15.
Yeah.
15
I
with
mean,
like
I wouldn't say
with a
15,
beard.
maybe like
Eh,
23.
Sure, whatevs. It's all the same.
I mean, his beard
Stats
is
are for
quite
nerds.
thick. And then
Ain't that thick.
yeah, that's when they kind of figure out like we may be related. I think we are.
Oh, they are related because Graham's uncle is related to this other guy's uncle, like somehow.
Awesome.
It's whatever. They're somehow family. And
Welcome home, Graham.
I think Graham is genuinely touched by that moment where he's like, "Oh my gosh, we are related somehow." Like that's great. That feels like a Rhode
was
Island
he more
thing.
touched, or was he more excited that he's related to the Laird?
Probably.
Does that mean I can come back here?
Yeah. Do I get the layered treatment?
Oh, hey.
Yeah, but I feel in that moment, and for those of you who are not from Rhode Island, you don't understand this.
I mean, most people are not from Rhode Island.
I know what I'm saying is you don't understand it necessarily, but everybody in Rhode Island, because it's such a small state, they're all freaking related, and they all know each other one way or another.
they're not all related, but they all know each other.
And like you could go in the middle of nowhere and see some jabroni coming out of the woods. You'd be like, "Hey, Jimmy, what's going on, Jimmy? I haven't seen you in a couple of years." Like that's Rhode Island, and this was a moment between
Yep.
the bagpiper guy and Graham that was a definite Rhode Island
The thing that we
moment.
actually say about Rhode Islanders is that you can leave Rhode Island, and wherever you go on vacation or you move to, you are going to find another Rhode Islander that you know.
Yeah,
Like I was climbing Mount Washington.
yeah.
I was on the cusp of it,
In New
dreaming of
Hampshire.
a whoopie pie. And What do you know? The guy coming up next to me, who was not panting like I was, just running up, he was a drummer for my jazz band. Hey, Mary. And I was like, what is... Oh, man. Now I need to move.
What are we doing?
Right? But it's like that. Then, of course, so we move on.
Wait, before we continue, I do want to...
Yeah.
Maybe it was because of COVID, but would you have kind of liked to have seen Sam and Graham play the bagpipes? Just to see what it looked like? Just to see what happens. That is something I would like to have seen. Maybe, though, they were prevented from doing that because of the COVID of it all. Notice that the whole thing takes place outside. They kind of stand far apart from each other until he touches his shoulder, the whole thing.
Oh, my gosh.
Just throwing that out there. Just
good point.
food for
But
thought.
then they could have given him, like, the practice thing, the canter. Like, just the wooden bit. But
Yeah.
anyway. But I agree. I would have liked that. See, if we had our dream world, if the fans got to... tell stars how many episodes you want. We'd have just like doubled the amount of episodes.
Sure.
Full episode, just bagpipes.
Yep, just bagpipes.
Yes. And then we actually get to go out with the pipe band.
Yes.
The Glencore's pipe band.
And this was an interesting thing too, and I think again this is where Sam probably struggled a little bit.
I
felt
think
like
he did a good job of just being jolly.
Felt like he was having a hard time engaging with the material. Just felt like it. I don't know.
Just
I'm not
marching,
saying,
you mean, was difficult?
No. Just like it was almost the sense that I got from it when Sam was asking questions and trying to engage with the band members or whatever. It was as if it was just like, okay, I don't get any of this.
That was the scripted bit.
You're
where I
all
was
a
just
bunch of
bored.
nerds, and I don't know how to
No.
interview you.
Oh, on Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just the part where I was like, I'm a little bored here. You know, just a wee bit bored. But it's
Yep.
okay because the rest of the episode I enjoyed, and I still enjoyed it overall.
Yep. Vicky here suggests that them playing the bagpipe would have sounded like a strangling a cat.
But I kind of would have loved
And
to hear it.
that's exactly what I want to hear.
Quietly.
Yeah,
like
sure.
volume down.
Yeah. I don't want to hear
Get
like
the
full
effects,
volume,
yeah.
but I want to see it and I want to get a taste of it. I want to see them totally struggle.
I
the
want
way
to see
that
them try to like fill the thing up with air.
That'd be awesome.
Maybe in season 2 we'll get that.
Is seeing Sam and Graham turn red? You know, Graham's bald head would be flaming fire.
They could have had another competition. Like who can actually play notes.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been fun.
That would have been a fun thing.
Someone on the crew needs to start listening and taking notes because I'm telling you, we can have a whole thing. Oh, actually, there was a video posted today of Graham pretending to play the bagpipes. Quite funny, people are saying.
Oh, wow,
so
cool. All right, excellent.
there's just so much. Linda on Instagram is also saying that I feel like a lot ends up at the cutting room floor, on the cutting room floor. So yes. I guess on Graham's Instagram you can see this bagpipe playing. So
And was it Sam that? Well, Graham asks, "Hey, do you know who wrote Greensleeves?" And Sam, was it Sam that said it was Elton John?
yes, I mean it was joking.
I know, but still, it's like Elton John.
I love that that's who he chose, though. To
that's
be like
where
his
you go
completely
to.
outrageous, like, let me just pick someone bizarre.
Oh,
Elton John.
it's so funny, Elton John. But of course, the reality of it all is that it is written by King Henry VIII for Anne Boleyn. That is a fact that I actually taught you,
Yes, you
Marvin.
did.
I taught you that many, many years ago when we were watching The Tudors.
Another
Oh,
good show.
Goodness, I love The Tudors. Love The Tudors.
You know what I don't love?
What's
Dancing
that?
near swords. Is your shoe like steel tipped? Is there protection in case you slip? Like you step on a sword that's slippery and then you can get cut,
Yeah.
or you could just like kick it. I mean, for people like me who have very, very poor depth perception, that would not be the type of dancing that I
Yeah,
would
no,
wanna
especially
do.
with swords that they're like, yeah, these are really sharp. These aren't no dull swords. These are real go into battle, slitting
No thanks.
heads off sharp. And they're just
Scottish
dancing
people
around
don't.
them.
They don't play around. They throw heavy
Mm-mm.
rocks.
They
They,
don't mess
dance with
around.
swords. They throw tree logs. Like, listen, you just don't come mess. You go to one of those parties, and that's what they're doing.
Right.
They're throwing rocks and tree stumps,
Dancing on swords.
near swords. If invaders came during a Kaylee, they'd be like, "Oh my God, these
What are
people
we
are preparing for war."
It's like that guy that was in World War II storming the beach playing a bagpipe. The Germans don't even shoot at him because they're like, that guy's crazy. I
That really
refuse.
happened?
Yeah, that's what they were talking about.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was lost for a hot second. I thought you were
sorry.
telling me a different story.
No, that's what they talked
Yes,
about.
yes.
And you can imagine invading armies in the middle of a Kaylee. We're like, nope.
Nope. All
Turn
set.
around. You don't got to go home, but we can't stay here.
Amen.
Let's go to Spain. We'll figure that out there.
Then we get the non-COVID dance party.
Yes. And I loved the awkwardness of it because I suffer from horrible awkwardness at dance parties like this,
You
especially
don't do
watching.
the Macarena?
Oh God, no! And especially I
Do
am.
they even do that anymore?
I have no idea. Do they still do the electric slide?
I mean, it was the electric slide, the Macarena,
Yeah.
the cha-cha slide. I don't know.
That's a relatively new addition. You get the chicken dance
Cupid's
too.
Shuffle.
The Cupid Shuffle. There you go.
And
That's
there
what it's
must
called.
be something now that the kids do that we don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Some stupid TikTok dance.
We,
I don't know.
That's what it would be.
Yeah, whatever. I like the awkwardness of it, but there was a beauty to the filming of this aspect too, with the slow motion and seeing Sam's great faces as he's trying to maneuver throughout all of this, and Graham just trying to keep up, and he's like, "Oh my God, my back is to you. I can't see what we're doing. What are we supposed to do? Jesus!" Like that would be me.
Yeah.
that would totally be me.
I did love, though, with the whole dance party, just seeing the band there and the merriment. I know this sounds silly. I feel the same way when I watched the Hogmanay episode and the flashbacks that with Jamie and everybody. I just miss people. I miss dancing. I miss bands.
I miss
And
going to the bar.
I miss all of these things. And watching this felt like one day I'll be able to go to a Kaylee and dance and maybe hold hands with Sam and Graham. I don't know.
And just let go of your British and Scottish reserve. Just let go.
Just do it,
just
man.
Get
Just
in
go
and get
all in.
hammered.
But maybe one day, Blake, we'll be at a Kaylee. Let's put
maybe.
it on our vision board.
Sure, yeah, we'll vision that right up. Vision it right up.
I love it.
Why not? Yeah, there's an inherent beauty to that, and I also like the fact too that Sam has to quit for a minute, be like, yeah, my shoe got untied. Yeah. Sure, let me tie my
Once again,
shoe.
they probably weren't their own shoes. So
Yeah,
who
right.
knows?
keep going, keep dancing there, Graham. Yeah, good job. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
I love it.
Excellent stuff.
And then, of course, the last shot, that the first thing that you played here in
Yes.
our episode, is how we end
Right.
with the two. And as Sam is just talking, if you rewatch this bit, Graham is starting to talk, or maybe he's just so tired that he can't talk because he's mouthing a little bit here and there, and you just hear,
Yeah, right.
yes.
Ugh.
And then they just both drink. It
Yeah.
was so cute and so exhausted that I just loved that moment.
I do like how the end of the episodes are ending with this motif of them sharing a flask
Sharing a dram. Sam and Graham
together.
and a dram.
And they did it in the last episode. They did it in this episode. I hope it's something that continues for the next,
Agreed.
6 or 7, however many there are left of Men in Kilts. So that's a fun little thing to end on. So that is that. Anything else you want to say about this episode, Marvin?
That's really it. We're just enjoying having this free time filled with Men in Kilts.
Yeah.
I mean, we're obviously missing Outlander. So happy that it's filming, and of course the rewatching and Blake's reading Voyager. But to have fresh material in just a different way, where Outlander is still sprinkled in. We get the little shots to remind us of where things are from in different scenes, like we did when Gillibrige was singing. We got to have
Right.
those little callbacks to Outlander. It's just lovely. It's lovely.
And even including the little Outlander bits in the show, whether it was, Sam and Kat getting it on at Dune Castle many, 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 many times, or even seeing Stephen Walters as Angus. When he is talking with Kat,
oh my God, I forgot that was in the episode and our kids watched it with us.
That's true.
That
yeah.
went quickly, right?
That did go quickly, yeah. And I was just about to say that I enjoy watching this show with our kids because it teaches them about their roots, and it's a special thing to have for them. And yes, there was that little bit of sexy time, but it was.
I think it went over their heads.
I think it went over their heads too, and it was very nondescript. It was just two people kissing, really. That's what it was. And so what? They see people kiss all the
I
time.
think that's when our little Les said, "Are they married?"
Yeah, and our son went, ew.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But seeing Angus, dude, I miss Angus and Rupert in the worst way. That is something just on another commentary. The show misses desperately Outlander. They miss the brotherhood aspect of what the first
those
couple of
two.
seasons
Yes.
gave, especially with Angus and Rupert. And seeing Angus be like, okay, now we're talking. Now let's get drinking. Like,
It's It's like the good old days. I mean, it's just like you think back to maybe your college years in life where you lived in the same dorm room and you had your buddies and you would go to lunch and you would go to classes and you
Yes.
go to parties. Like that was in Outlander, Jamie's youth. And those
Yeah.
were his buddies and his coming of age
Right,
years and
right.
stuff. And luckily for most of us, our college buddies are not killed in war, in Culloden or the wars leading up to that.
Yep.
But yeah, I hear ya. I think that that's part of what I treasure in the early episodes as
Yeah.
well.
Again, I'll say it
I
again.
treasure a lot in the early
Yeah,
episodes.
you do. Especially that scene in the wedding when Claire is just,
Oh, mine's just when she's like bandaging him and she's, ooh.
or when she's just taking a look at the goods during the
everything,
wedding,
everything.
takes everything off, and she's just touching it. Like,
That's mine.
oh,
That's mine too.
yeah. There's a lack of, I think, that stuff in Outlander, but. Again, I'll say it again. I said it before last episode. Guys being dudes. That's what you kind of miss in Outlander. Guys being dudes. Now it's so very quick, and there's very little time to dedicate to a scene like Graham singing, riding horses. You probably don't get that kind of scene in.
I mean, you do,
In-
but I appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah.
The dude aspect is there's the next class of the dudes. We've got the bromance going on between Ian and Roger. There's just a new class of dudes, and
Right.
that's okay.
Yeah, just not the same.
It's not the same dudes because those dudes are dead.
No, but like whatever. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about this episode, Marvin?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. As I said, I'm just really having a blast hanging out with the Sam and Graham in the off season of Outlander.
Yep.
For those of you who do not read Clanlands, please make sure that you're listening to the Outlander Cast podcast as we are covering that book. So even if you're not reading it, know that we're covering it.
And
we'll
we're
give
covering
you,
it pretty extensively.
Yeah, we'll give you the cliff notes. And by the cliff notes, we'll pretty much tell you everything.
Gloria here asks on Facebook, when do you think Duncan will make an appearance?
I don't know. And
Not
I don't know if
soon
he will.
enough. I
Yeah.
cannot wait for that moment. I look forward to seeing Gary Lewis. Hashtag spoilers.
But he might not.
But he may not.
That's the thing, is that we just saw this rowing. So those of you who are reading the book, we're sitting here and we're like, all right, what's going to make it in and what's going to make it out?
If they don't include Duncan, I won't be upset, but I'll think that's a missed opportunity.
We'll see.
I hope that they do. I can't wait.
Maybe he wasn't presentable.
You know he wasn't presentable. You know he was out there drinking with his unnamed Irish friend in the book. He's just chasing sheep.
Oh, gosh, I love Duncan McLeod.
Oh,
On that
me
note,
too.
let's close out the show.
Let's do it.
Thank you all so much, so much for tuning in and listening to this episode of Outlander Cast. Really, it's been such a joy to delve into Clanlands and to hang out more with Sam and Graham,
Yep.
and now in Men in Kilts. And what makes it even nicer is that every episode that we get to discuss with you is like a Kaylee over the internet.
Oh, look at you.
We're just having merry. We're just watching things that make us happy, relishing those moments together, sharing them if you're joining us in the live watching conversations or if you're emailing us. Know that we treasure you, our listeners, so very much.
Yes, absolutely. And another good part about all this, too, is that we're pumping out content, man. We are pumping these episodes out left and right. And I'm so happy to just be back. I'm happy to... we took a little bit of a break there for, a little bit. We did like an episode a month for a while. And now we're back and we're pumping this thing out and we're interacting with you guys and being here. I'm so excited to do that. And of course, another way that you can get in touch with us too is in our exclusive Facebook group.
Yes.
Most of you are probably already members at the Outlander Cast Clan Gathering. I ask you and I suggest to you to join the Mary and Blake Facebook group. Yes, tons of Outlander things are happening there, but also other things that all of you nerds love all together. They are being talked about. It's not focused on just one thing, and it has really given a beautiful sense of community for all the things that we love together. If you love something and you want to talk about it, doesn't matter what it is, bring it up. Chat about it. Have fun. We're here. And the Mary and Blake group, Facebook group, is there for you for
Yes.
that.
So if you are on Facebook, join it. Mary and Blake. You just search that. You'll see the group popping up. We'd love to have you there. On that note, my name is Mary Larson.
My name is Blake.
And you have been listening to Outlander Cast.
That's it.
Guess what, live friends? We've stopped recording, so all of that is going to be on our podcast feed. However you listen to podcasts, you could check it out there. If you're brand new, first-time listeners, say first time. Let us know. Let us know if anybody
We got
watching
one.
us
We got one
here
already.
is new.
Kathy.
First time. Hi, Kathy.
Kathy, this one's for you. That's
There
what we
you
play
go.
for every new listener for any of our shows. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, Bunny is saying never could watch on Facebook Live. Glad it came up on Instagram. Yay, Bunny. Thank you so much. Make sure that you're not only following Outlander Cast, but also Mary and Blake Media
Yep.
if you're on Instagram. So I'll say that again, Instagram friends. Make sure you're not only following Outlander Cast, but also Mary and Blake Media, because that's where we showcase in addition to Outlander and Men in Kilts, we showcase the other things that we podcast about there too.
Oh, we got one here that says Jan, she listened to the Clanlands podcast this morning and got to watch and listen to this one tonight. A great day. And Jan, I say yes.
Yay! We've got a couple of first-time listeners on Instagram. We've got Miriam and we got Adriana. Thank you so much.
Oh, let me
and
play the
Lorinda.
sound. Let me play the sound. Thank you so much.
And Kristen, yay! So as we said, if this is your first time catching this video, you've never necessarily listened to our podcast. We actually do a podcast that delves all into the show Outlander. We've interviewed people involved with the show. We're now covering Men in Kilts and we're covering the book Clanlands. So we'd love for you to check it all on out. We've got a great website, outlandercast.com. Also, we have maryandblake.com for Outlander and all of the other adventures that we go on.
And for those nerds of you that are out there who are watching WandaVision right now, do know that we have created a new blog dedicated to the MCU and WandaVision. It's called the MCU Diaries, but also a companion piece, if you will, is the MCU Diaries podcast, which I am hosting, as they are essays on Marvel television through Disney Plus, and it is a lot of fun. We've already gotten the first 5 episodes done. We are going to get all of them completed by the time episode 9 premieres on Friday.
Amazing. Well,
Yes.
thank you all so much for tuning in. Honestly, Blake and I podcast because we love you all. We love connecting with people about Outlander, about Men in Kilts. We started podcasting because we were a wee bit lonely, and now it's created this amazing community. So if you want to make sure that you are joining us next week, it will be the same time, 8:45 Eastern Standard Time, just where you're watching us now. You can come on in and join us live, so you can put it in your calendar. You can invite your friends who also watch the show. In the meantime, if you haven't already checked out our podcast, please go find it in a podcast app of your choice. And yeah, I think our cat's telling us our time is done. So
we got cat butt.
yes, thank you all so much for coming in. And yeah, we'll be talking with you soon. Bye, everybody.